Thank you. Good evening. Tonight's Committee of Adjustment hearing is being held by video conference and live streaming video on the town's live stream webpage at oakville.ca. This is a hearing to consider applications for minor variance and consents held under the authority of the Planning Act. Please keep in mind the intent of this process is to review the application that is before the committee, listen to the evidence, and then make a decision. This process is not intended to be used to resolve any concerns or disputes that may exist between the town, individuals, or organizations. If a request for a deferral is made and the committee grants such a request, the applicant or authorized agent must contact the Secretary Treasurer to schedule a new hearing date. In order to conduct an effective and efficient electronic hearing, we have adopted the following processes. If you are watching the live stream of this hearing on oakville.ca, and if you wish to speak to an item on the agenda, you can call 905-815-6095. Again, that is 905-815-6095. Phone number is also posted on your screen below the live stream at oakville.ca. Staff will be standing by to take your call. When you call in, staff will ask your name, item number you wish to address, and your telephone number. Further instructions will be provided to you to call back to join the video conference. When the chair of the committee polls for interested parties, press *6 to unmute yourself. The applicant or agent will be given the opportunity to briefly explain to the committee the basis of the application and answer any questions that may arise. A maximum of 5 minutes will be provided for a presentation. You will need to state your full name and address for the record. Any submissions beyond the 5 minutes will be at the discretion of the committee. All delegations must also state their full name and address for the record. A maximum of 5 minutes will also be provided to make your presentation. All remarks and questions are to be directed to the chair. Any submissions beyond the 5 minutes will be at the discretion of the committee. The applicant or agent will then be provided with a further 5 minutes to respond to the comments made by any interested parties and answer any questions from the committee members. If the applicant or agent has any concerns found in the staff report, particularly with any proposed conditions, it is your opportunity to advise us. The matter will then be taken to the committee for a decision. This will mark the end of all discussion. Any person desiring a notice of decision for an application must provide a written request, preferably through email, to the Secretary Treasurer. Written notice of the committee's decision will be mailed not later than 10 days for minor variance and 15 days for consent to the applicant and or agent and any other person who filed a written request for such notice. The last day to appeal the decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal will be noted on the decision. Only the applicant, specified persons, or public bodies may appeal the committee's decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. In November 2022, Bill 23 legislation, the More Homes Built Faster Act, amended the Planning Act to remove appeal rights for members of the public. If no appeal is received within the prescribed time frame, the decision of the committee becomes final and binding. The Secretary Treasurer will then notify the applicant and anyone who received a copy of the decision through written correspondence. People participating in this hearing are to be courteous to and respectful of the members of the committee, town staff, and the other people participating in the electronic hearing. Tonight's electronic hearing is being video recorded and available for future viewing at oakville.ca. Thank you. Madam Secretary Treasurer, do we have regrets this evening?
We do, Mr. Chair. We have Member Tulowski and Member McHale.
Thank you. So we do have quorum here with our current members.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we do.
Thank you. Okay. Can I call for any declarations of pecuniary interest? I see none. Okay. Now I'll receive requests for deferral or withdrawal of applications.
Mr. Chair, I have two hands up. I will move in Shane Edwards He is representing two different applications tonight.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Is this Mr. Edwards? Could I have your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. My name is Shane Edwards from Hughes Design Studio, located at 1A Conestoga Drive, Brampton, Ontario.
Okay, and what matter are you here with respect to?
So we're the agents representing the owners for 347 Morden Street and 298 Maple Grove Road, which are application numbers A115 and A116.
So why don't we take them one at a time?
Sure.
And so you are requesting a deferral for A115 at 347 Morden Road?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, that's correct. We have reviewed the staff report and would like some time to review the design with planning staff and make some revisions to where we can arrive at a design that would be deemed supportable.
Excellent. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Members in support of the deferral request? Okay, your deferral has been granted. You can contact the Secretary Treasurer to make arrangements for a future hearing date.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and perhaps you can go through A116 for us.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. It's basically the exact same thing. We've also reviewed the staff report and the exact same situation. We'd just like some time to review so we can redesign and arrive at a concept that's deemed supportable. We also did understand that there were some letters of objection received from neighbors, so we'd also like to review these in detail so we can incorporate these concerns into our redesign efforts.
Excellent. Okay, glad to hear that as well. Okay, members, support of the vote on the deferral request? Your deferral has been granted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we have one more hand up.
Okay, excellent.
For deferral. Let me move them in one moment.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and committee members. Can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Nicole Parr, 22 Blue Forest Drive, Toronto, Ontario, M3H4W2. I'm the agent for 1337 Sheldon Avenue. We kindly requested deferral in order to speak to city staff and come to an agreeable solution. They sent a staff report and had several concerns, and it is our intention to work with staff and come to a solution that meets the 4 tests and that we can move forward with, please, sir.
Okay, and that's with respect to CAVA 118 of 2025. Again, that's 1337 Shedden Avenue.
That's correct. Through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Members in support of the deferral request? Thank you. Your deferral has been approved. Please contact the Secretary Treasurer when you've sorted through your matters to schedule a further date.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. You too. Madam Secretary Treasurer, any further requests for deferral?
No, Mr. Chair, I don't see any more hands up.
Okay, so we will, we have no consent applications this evening, so we'll move on to our agenda for minor variance applications, commencing with CAVA 109 of 2025 at 1355 Seacourt Avenue. Could you move forward the agent or representative, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Oriana Nanoa, planner at Design Plan Services, Inc., located at 87 Skyway Avenue, Suite 200, Toronto. I'm here on behalf of the owner of the subject property to present the application today.
Thank you. Why don't you take us through a brief presentation on this matter?
Absolutely. So the proposal is for a new 2-story detached dwelling. The application before you today seeks relief from the zoning bylaw for 2 variances related to the proposed dwelling. To provide some background on this application, a pre-consultation meeting was held on February 5th, 2025 to discuss the proposal with planning staff and other Town of Oakville departments. At the pre-consultation meeting, comments and recommendations regarding the proposal were provided by planning staff and other departments, and revisions to the proposal were made and staff were satisfied. And that is the proposal you see in front of you today. This is also reflected in the staff report. We also have no issues with the recommended conditions. Additionally, Halton Region has also expressed no objection to the proposal, and to our knowledge, no other agency or department has raised any concerns. I can now get into a brief presentation of the variances. So there are 2 variances being requested for this application. The first variance pertains to the maximum residential floor area of the dwelling. The proposed RFA is 40.04% or 418.70 square meters, and the maximum permitted RFA is 37% at 386.92 square meters. So this represents an increase of 31.78 square meters or 3.04%, which is distributed over the 2 stories. This increase is minor and will not result in any significant impacts beyond what the zoning bylaw already contemplates in terms of massing and built form on the subject property. There are also no variances pertaining to building setbacks or height. Further demonstrating that the proposed massing of the dwelling does not represent an overdevelopment of the property. Furthermore, the 2nd story floor area is fully integrated within the roofline of the dwelling, so it is giving an appearance of a 1-story dwelling when perceived from the public realm. So this design approach reduces the overall appearance of massing and scale of the proposed dwelling. We also found similar or higher RFA approvals in the surrounding area, with the highest RFA approval being 44.24% at 1295 Tansley Drive, and the average RFA being 43.32%. Further examples include 1373 Sheldon Avenue, approved for an RFA of 43.99%, and 518 Sharon Drive, approved for an RFA of 42.9%. So this demonstrates that the proposed RFA will be in keeping with the existing neighborhood character and is consistent with other redevelopments in the area. Moving on to the 2nd variance. This variance pertains to the proposed lot coverage of 28.34% or 296.38 square meters, where 25% or 261.43 square meters is permitted. So this represents an increase of 34.95 square meters or 3.34%. So the proposed lot coverage still allows for sufficient amount of landscape open space in all yards and will provide space for amenity area and stormwater infiltration purposes. So it is also important to note that the lot coverage calculation includes both the front and rear verandas, which contribute to the total lot coverage calculation. So the building footprint itself accounts for only 23.64% or 247.27 square meters of lot coverage, which is compliant with the maximum lot coverage requirement with the bylaw. We also found other similar or higher coverage approvals within the area, and the highest lot coverage approval being 38.3% at 1435 Bridge Road, and the average lot coverage being 28.96%. Just as another example, 1320 Secord Avenue was approved for a lot coverage of 27.93%, which translates to 296.77 square meters, which is slightly larger than the proposed coverage for 1355 Secord Avenue. Further examples include 1367 Rebecca Street, approved for a coverage of 28.54%, and 289 Savoy Crescent, approved for a coverage of 28%. So this demonstrates that the proposed lot coverage will be in keeping with the existing neighborhood character and is consistent with other redevelopments in the area and will not create any adverse impacts from a planning perspective over and above what the bylaw already contemplates. So in conclusion, based on the provided justification, I am of the opinion that this proposal fits in with the existing and planned context for the neighborhood, is consistent with redevelopment trends throughout the neighborhood, and for these reasons, I believe the application represents good planning and meets the 4 tests under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act. I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have any questions from the committee members based on that presentation? I see no questions. I know that there was a letter of objection that came in from Mr. Moody. Madam Secretary Treasurer, is there anyone present wishing to speak to this matter and ask any questions or make a presentation?
Mr. Chair, we have not received any phone calls and no one has their hand up.
Okay. I noted that in your presentation that you spoke to the coverages and the characters of the area in terms of other variances, which generally speak to the issues that were raised by Mr. Moody in his comment letter. Do you have anything additional that you'd like to put forward at this point in time in terms of a response to that comment letter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to say that I've already mentioned previous approvals within the area just in relation to coverage and RFA. So I believe that adequately addresses the neighbor's concerns, but I do appreciate the neighbor submitting a letter and voicing his concerns. And I do think that this application is minor in nature and the design does respect the character of the neighborhood. So it's my opinion that it represents good planning again, and the committee should move approval of this application. Thank you.
Thank you. With those additional comments, anything further from the committee members before we go into committee? Okay. I will leave it to the two of you for a motion or a conversation. Ms. Price.
Taking into consideration the observations of my site visit, the agent's detailed report, and staff's comment, as well as a letter of opposition from the owner of 1356 Thornhill Drive, I am of the opinion that the application is minor in nature and is in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and is desirable for the appropriate development of the land. As the built form of the development, including scale, height, massing, and architectural character materials, appear to be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood, I accept that the four tests of the Planning Act have been met. In conclusion, I recommend that the application be approved subject to the following conditions. The dwelling be constructed in general accordance with submitted site plan and elevation drawings dated June 9th, 2025. And that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction.
Thank you. Committee, any discussions? I see none. So we'll vote on the motion. All those in support? Thank you. Your application has been approved unanimously. You have a good evening.
Thank you very much. You as well. Take care.
Okay. We'll now call the next item, A111 of 2025 at 1014 Melvin Avenue. While we get the representative situated, I'll remind people that if you are looking to speak to this matter or another matter, you can call in at 905-815-6095. Mr. Nelson, would you please introduce yourself and give us your address for the record, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. My name is David Nelson. I live at 382 Bartos Drive in Oakville. And my postal code is L6K 3E6.
Thank you. Would you give us a brief description and presentation for the committee members and members of the public?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman. This application pertains to a construction error, which is occurring in the basement of the dwelling that's under construction. It has led to an increase in coverage of 4.62 square meters, or 0.42% above the coverage permitted under the zoning bylaw. Madam Secretary, if you could bring up the basement floor plan for me, please. Thank you very much. This identifies the issue that I'm speaking to. You can see on the right of the wall that supports the portion of the building above where the footing should have been. It's shown under the clouding on the drawing. The wall ended up to the left of where it should have been, probably through a layout issue. So if we go back to the rear elevation, Madam Secretary. Thank you very much. So again, you can see the increase in coverage that results from that error in the basement. Mr. Chairman, that ends my presentation. I just note that staff report is positive on this application.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Do I have any questions or from the committee members at this point? Mr. Dickey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Might be a little bit confused here, but when I look at the rear elevation, I'm thinking I see a balcony on the second floor, and I was under the impression that balconies aren't permitted. So this question either to the agent or to the town planner, just straighten me out here as to either I'm reading that elevation plan wrong or I have a misunderstanding of the zoning bylaw in that immediate area. Who's here from the planning department? Maybe the town planning department?
Yeah, for you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Good evening,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you. Sorry, my headphones were not working. The balcony that's proposed on the site plan is actually there's no entrance. It's blocked off, and it's covered by railings. And I believe it does indicate that on the site plan. I'm just gonna confirm that on the site plan.
It might help, Madam Secretary, if you could bring up that rear elevation again. Yes, I see the sliding door that Mr. Dickey is referring to. There was simply no issue with respect to that through the zoning bylaw comments, and so I don't see any need to seek any changes to the zoning bylaw with respect to that element.
Is it a balcony?
It's not a functioning balcony. There's a hard rail on in front, and it does indicate that it's not permitted on the site plan.
Okay, then go to the side. Go to the side elevation, and to me, the railing is on at the edge of the porch, covered porch underneath. So, like, it's not as if there's like a Juliet balcony or whatever you want to call it. It's to me on those plans that looks like a balcony. So I'm going to have trouble approving this when we say the condition of the approval is that the building be built in accordance with the plans. To me, the plans show a balcony. So I'm just telling you right now, you convince me otherwise, I'm okay with your variance. But to me, those plans are indicating a balcony. So go ahead. Either.
Can we bring up the site plan for a moment, please, Madam Secretary? No, there's nothing there that will help us with respect to that question.
You see what I'm saying? I see a sliding glass door which give you access to this roof, and I see railings that are on the perimeter of the roof, not like I say a Juliet bell. If I'm saying it right, if the railings were right along the sliding glass door, I might not have justification for my question and my opinion. But that's not the case here. That's not what these plans are showing.
It could be, Mr. Chairman, that there is a railing across in front of the door that would preclude the stepping out onto that. And of course, that's not showing on the drawings. And as the planner did refer to the fact there is a note indicating that there is no access to that area. And I'm not quite sure where that note would occur. It's not on the site plan. Again, to the rear elevation and see if we can find anything there. Not seeing anything on that particular drawing either.
Okay, if there was something blocking that sliding glass door, then why would you have a railing around the perimeter of the roof of the covered porch? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So I'm suggesting to you that you ask for a deferral. You do something about that building plan, because I'm going to be voting against those building plans because of the normal conditions that we put in our approval.
Understood. Yes, in that case,
Just for the upfront.
in that case, I do request a deferral until we can get this sorted out.
Thank you.
May I ask staff if we can confirm the zone category? Is this a zero suffix zone?
Yeah, correct.
No, it's not, Mr. Chairman. That's a good point.
Let me confirm that, sorry.
It's an R3. It's not an R3-0.
And that may be the difference. It's the zero suffix zones to my recollection.
That is the exact case. It's the infill zones that do not permit the balconies.
That's correct. I understand that.
Okay. And unfortunately, I'm having a hard time here getting access to the Oakville website online here. This seems to be something that goes along with the chair problems getting onto the website here. So I'm not able to confirm this. I see we have a hand up from our planner.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. The subject site is designated RL2 zero suffix. I just wanted to confirm that.
Sorry, again, it was an RL?
RL2 dash zero. Sorry, yeah, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And the zero doesn't permit the balconies. Okay, I just
that's correct, Mr. Chair.
Get a little confused here. Okay.
The infill zones do not permit balconies.
Okay. So I'm going to take a moment. Do we have any other questions here right now on any other matters around this this application? I think it might be worthwhile to solicit to see if there is anybody in the audience who is seeking to speak to this. I know that we do not have any correspondence on the record on this one, but I'll ask the Secretary Treasurer if there's anybody who's interested in this or have raised their hand.
No, Mr. Chair, there have been no hands up and no one has called in.
Okay, thank you. So we have a live issue here with respect to the balcony, and Mr. Nelson, you had indicated a willingness to defer the application. Is that formal request at this point?
Yes, that is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I know normally we seek these deferrals at the beginning of the hearing in light of the information that's come to light. Here, is the committee prepared to consider a deferral at this point in time?
Yeah.
Yeah. And would I have support for a motion? Mr. Nelson, your application has been deferred.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Have a good evening.
Excellent. You too, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to the next item, which is A112 of 2025, located at 2132 Hickson Street. Good evening, sir. Are you, I see your video. You've got your audio going, sir?
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Mr.
Good
Chair.
evening,
Committee
sir.
members.
Could I have your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Jeff Jansen. The address is 70 Main Street in Campbellville, representing Jansen Consulting.
And you're the representative for the property on Hickson Street?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. If you wouldn't mind taking us through a brief description of the proposal and a presentation,
Yes, sir.
so that the committee members and members of the public can be familiarized with this.
Yeah. We're asking for two variances. The two variances we're asking for are minor in nature, and we feel it meets the four tests. We do have town support on the two minor variances. One of them is a slight increase in the floor area ratio. Permitted is 40%. We're asking for 2.84% increase to accommodate the needs of the client for their family living in the home. So we feel that's a minor reflection to the floor area ratio. The second minor variance is a slight increase in height. Right now, 9 meters is the maximum. We're asking for 0.375 meter relief. The interesting issue with height is because this property is actually low at the front on the site plan grading and higher at the back. Basically, we're dealing with approximately, let's see if I can get the height difference here. 87, 80. There's probably about a meter difference from the sidewalk to the rear of the property. So what happens is we need to grade this property from the back to the street. So that means the rear wall of the home has to be set at a certain level so water does not flow against the foundation. It has to go around. So that, what it does in Oakville, the height is based off established grade, which you take around the entire building on the property. So having that 1 meter grade difference from front to back has kind of penalized us, which is why we require a small height variance. Otherwise, I think everything else meets the zoning bylaw. So they're the only two variances that we requested. And again, town is in support of. We did get a letter from one neighbor. And again, concerned about sunlight. I'm not sure where this particular individual neighbor resides. But again, we are asking for a very minor height increase just because of our grading issue. And again, I'm not sure if the neighbor's there about his concerns. And that's it. Unless the staff have any questions, I basically have no more to say on the presentation at this present time.
Thank you. As part of the presentation, were there elevations provided?
A full package was provided to the city: site plan, floor plans, and elevations.
Maybe you can just walk us through the elevations, given that we've got both RFA and height variances, just to make sure that everybody's familiarized with it.
Yeah. So if you see the front, we've kept the roof very low, as you can see. We haven't gone to a high roof profile, where some houses they do that. I think to really get a really good indication of the height, a side elevation would probably be better for committee members to see if it is there. Yeah, so you can see on this particular side, towards that pier at the front, there's a portion at the front. You can see how the grade is sloping up all the way at the back, and that would be on the right side. And then the left side is probably is just as much of a grade difference. So you can see this is lower at the front and increases at the back as well, all the way to the rear. So that kind of the front to back from the front of the house to the rear of the house, our grade sloping difference is probably about 1.5 foot difference, because the lot as it increases as it goes further back. Okay, so when I said the 1 meter difference, that's from the sidewalk to the very rear of the property. But from the front of the house, the rear wall of the house, because you measure established grade around the building, that difference is probably about 1.5 foot difference. So that's kind of where we're looking for that relief because of that grade difference. And as you can see, our roof lines are very low. We've gone to a steeper side pitch just to give the roof some definition, but the top is almost not a flat roof, but a very, very low slope profile.
Thank you, Mr. Jansen. Do I have any questions from the committee members at this point? Nope. Okay. I'm going to ask the Secretary Treasurer if there's anybody in attendance or who has raised their hand who wishes to speak to this matter.
Mr. Chair, we don't have any hands up and we haven't received any calls.
Okay. Then can I look to the committee for a motion or a discussion? Nope. Mr. Dickey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Based on my review of the owner's application, the site plans, building elevations, my site visit, together with the presentation by the owner's consultant, plus the planning staff's report, but also having regard to the letter of opposition from the neighbor. But still, I'm satisfied that the variances are minor in nature and conform to the 4 tests out of the Planning Act. And I put forth a motion that the application as applied for be approved, subject to the conditions that that the dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plan dated May 12th, 2025, and the submitted elevation drawings, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction.
Thank you, Mr. Dickey, and I will note for the record before this we vote on the motion that the letter of opposition was received from Robert Becker. Do I have any discussion on the matter? Okay, and all those in support? None opposed? Your minor variance has been approved.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. We're now calling application A113 of 2025, a property located at 73 Brock Street. While the agent gets themselves situated, I would refresh everybody's memory about the phone number that you can call in on, 905-815-6095. If you wish to speak to this matter or a subsequent matter on the agenda, please call in at the number provided. Good evening, sir. Could I have your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Jonathan Netta of Netta Designs, Inc. I reside at 22 Queen Street in Georgetown, Ontario. I am the designer and agent representing the homeowners of 73 Brock Street. I've been designing homes in Oakville for over 10 years now, and I have extensive experience with the styles and trends that are common to the area. The homeowner is a very long-time resident of Oakville and is aiming to construct a new custom home to serve the family's needs. We have worked very hard and consciously to create a compromise between functional design that serves the family's needs and a harmonized exterior that contributes to the neighborhood charm. Due to some lot challenges, we are seeking relief for 4 variances today in order to achieve our design. With regards to the rear yard setback, we are seeking 4.16 meters versus the required 7.5 meters. The rear yard setback request is only a result from the rear open covered porch. I note that the dwelling itself complies with the required setback, and it is only the rear porch projection that triggers this variance. As illustrated in the elevation drawings, this porch is very open concept with a low slope roof. Extreme efforts have been made on our part to keep the massing of this porch very minimalistic. Secondly, the building height. We are seeking a height allowance of 9.5 meters versus the maximum 9 meters. Planning staff have done an excellent job in the report highlighting the technical reasons. Because this is a corner lot and the grade is significantly lower at the street on Brock Street, about a meter difference, we are burdened with having to measure our proposed height from the grade point at the average of these 2 property line center points. I note that if we observe the height measured in a more real world sense from the actual grades around the proposed dwelling, the height does not exceed the required 9 meters at any point whatsoever. And this has actually been illustrated with a cloud in the elevation drawings that you see in front of you here. The height variance is resulting from the technical definitions of established grade and the existing conditions surrounding the front property lines. Lot coverage, we are seeking 38.3% versus the maximum 35%. Referring to sheet A0.1 on the drawing set, I have provided 2 lot coverage calculations in my site statistics chart. One of the numbers includes the open covered porches and the other one excludes the open covered porches. I did this to demonstrate that the dwelling, garage, and front covered porch combined comply with the lot coverage, and it is only specifically the rear open covered porch that pushes us over the limit. I reiterate that this rear porch is very open concept and low on the massing scale. And then lastly, the residential floor area, we are seeking 52.07% versus the maximum 42%. I note that we have made very conscious efforts in the design to build many elements of the second floor into the roof space. There's lots of angled ceilings and that sort of thing that are incorporated into the floor plan just to keep the massing of the exterior minimized. There are sections on the second floor plan that are being counted towards overall residential floor area for technical reasons. However, in reality, these areas are extremely low in headroom and unusable. I'm of the very strong opinion that our ask is minor in nature and meets the 4 tests. It is also well received and observed in the staff report that planning are in full agreement. Thank you so much to the committee for your time and consideration of our application. Happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions from the committee members? Mr. Dickey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You mentioned, if I had it heard it correctly, on the second floor, there's areas that are included in the residential floor area calculation, but you said they're low in height, so that's you just explain that a little bit more to me, please.
For sure. Can I actually get the second floor plan put on the screen as well, just to help explain?
Mr. Netta, only the documents that were on the website are here for showing tonight.
Okay,
No
so
floor plans.
Oh, I see. Okay, so in our second floor plan, there's actually there's corners of the rooms around the perimeter that they're basically built into that angled portion of the roof. So they're just because of how the RFA is defined in the bylaw, we're required to include those areas. But in reality, what's going to end up happening is we're going to be building out knee walls to get a more appropriate ceiling height in the room.
So yeah, just so you know, we as the members have copies of those building plans, so I see them. I see in the primary bedroom, it says something about little built-ins. You're talking about along, I don't know which wall that is, sorry. I don't see any lines.
So if you go to the, so you have the second floor plan. So the red outline is essentially what I submitted to begin with. And then during the process, it actually went through a zoning review. And I was asked to add in the corners of the rooms as well. So if you look at the so just in like bedroom 4 there, there's the 3 corners actually of the room that they're just shown as X'd out in the floor plan.
But those little squares that have X's, that have X's in. So that's included in your residential floor area, but it's not usable because of height and knee walls.
Exactly.
And the same thing, I see there's a bigger one on the primary bedroom.
That's correct.
2 corners of whatever that little projection is.
Yes, exactly.
And that's the other bedroom doesn't have that. Okay, that helps. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Any additional questions here? I see none. Madam Secretary Treasurer, anyone with their hand up or wishing to speak to this matter?
Mr. Chair, there are no hands up and no one has called in.
Okay. I would note for the record that there was one email of support from Beth Rose and Dennis Bastian. And with that being said, if there are no additional questions, I will take this into committee. Could I have a motion? Ms. Price?
Taking into account the observations of my site visit, the submissions of the agent and staff, as well as there being no letters of opposition and 1 letter of support, I am of the opinion that the requested variances are minor in nature and are in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and are desirable for the appropriate development of the land. As the built form of the development, including scale, height, massing, and architectural character and materials, help to protect the character of the existing neighborhood and do not present unacceptable adverse impacts, I believe that the 4 tests of the Planning Act have been met. In conclusion, I recommend that the application be approved subject to the following conditions. The dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plan and elevation drawings dated July 10th, 2025, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of this decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Any discussion of the motion? If none, all those in support of the motion? Your application has been approved. Have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. We are calling our next item, application A114 of 2025, a property located at 3308 Lakeshore Road West. Do we have the agent for the owner? I see a familiar face and name here.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening, Mr. Coronis. Could I have your name and address for the record, please?
My pleasure. Paul Cronus from Weir Folds in Toronto, in Oakville. The address, I'm a land use planner. We're the agent for the applicant. The address is 1320 Cornwall Road, Suite 201, L6J7W5. Real pleasure to be before the committee today, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
It's good to see you again too, Mr. Cronus. Perhaps you can give us a presentation on this application.
My pleasure. So just as an overall focus, the staff have recommended approval. There's 9 variances, and I will go through them quickly. The staff have recommended approval of all of the application as submitted, save and except variance number 9 dealing with the balcony, which I'd like to spend a little bit of time addressing because it is in the RL2 suffix 0, and it needs some attention. But this is a new built on a property that fronts on the south side of Lakeshore Road West, on a road that kind of meanders towards westerly as you approach Burlington. We had a very good pre-consultation meeting with staff where they expressed 2 areas of concern. All this is summarized in my cover letter submission that gives you all the details, but I'll go through it quickly. And if you need any further attention, you can always stop me and direct me to it. We had a really successful pre-consultation meeting with staff, identified 2 areas of concern. One on the north side to provide an increased setback to preserve the mature strand of trees, and we did. Rather than go down to the 1.2 meter minimum, we went up to 5.06. And there was a note about increasing the soft landscaping on the driveway. There is an existing circular driveway, and we've actually improved the condition, and this is all set out in the staff report. So we've accommodated staff's concern, and I think that's in part why you see success in them recommending approval for your consideration. As I said, there's 9 variances, and I like the way staff clustered them together, so I just briefly focus on that. The first variance deals with the window well, and as stated in the report, the intent of the window well is to ensure that you're not obstructing any drainage or any access to the rear yard. And as staff indicated, the window wells appear on the front, and the projections are sort of minor in nature. They don't obstruct the intended purpose of that regulation. They find that there's approval. They recommend approval, and I endorse that. Variants 2, 5, and 6 deal with the garages. There are 2 garages. One is at grade that provides a little bit of extra room, which is variance number 5, to increase the floor area from 45 to 57 square meters to accommodate slightly larger vehicles. And this is a common variance that I think committee is sort of seen, but the intent of that is to ensure that these garages don't dominate the facade, and in this case the garages are being integrated quite well in the built form and the massing, and there's no and given the generous setback from Lakeshore, the garages don't dominate the facade. Now, there is a second garage, as you see on the north end. There's a little projection there. There's an underground ramp that goes to the below grade private garage, which is for storage. Staff and I had a discussion whether or not that's a garage because it doesn't provide parking in the traditional sense, which is temporary. This is more of a permanent parking. And staff agreed that, or the bylaw doesn't include the GFA in the below grade garage as part of the overall calculation. But staff said, since you have a garage door facing the front, and since it leads down into the basement with the ramp, then it would be a second garage. And that's sort of, we said, that's fine. We'll seek that variance to make it clear. But the intent is not to use that. It's storage of the client's personal vehicles that he likes to display with friends when they come over. So it's more of a storage than serving a parking function. And then the garage projection, again, it's 1.5 to 2.7 meters, which is, I suggest, minor in nature, and it's not visible from the street, and it doesn't take away from the facade of the building. Then we have the driveway width, an increase, both. There are 2 driveways, one to the private garage that goes underneath and the other one at surface. And again, the driveway that's being proposed, it's an improvement over what's existing. And staff recommend or found that it's an improvement on the overall condition, and I echo that. We have then variant 7 and 8 dealing with the front yard setback and the main wall proportionality. This is to ensure that the built form is sited in a manner that is sensitive to the surrounding. And as you can see, Lakeshore Road West meanders, and based on that, there's a staggered setback to it, and that causes the need for these two variances. And again, staff found no objection to that. It's quite characteristic of the area and it's part of the streetscape. The last variance deals with the balcony, and as you know, there is a prohibition against balconies. Now, the staff indicate that the intent can't be met, but I suggest, sir, and you've heard this discussion before at an application just up the road at 3300 Lakeshore Boulevard West in 2020. And I went and I listened to the tape a couple times of Mr. Hart. I think it was Mr. Tulowski and maybe even yourself, Mr. Hardcastle, were exploring with staff the intent. So in my opinion, the intent of the prohibition is to allow applicants to come forward to the committee with an application so they can justify the variance. But the true intent, as suggested in the discussion on that application, and I'm not using the fact that it got approved as precedent, but I'm using it for the tests that were developed in that case. And the test of the intent, true intent of that prohibition is to ensure there's no visual impacts to the privacy of neighbors on either side. In this instance, sir, if we can go to the next page on this site plan, there's three things that mitigate against visual impacts. One, there's a very mature role. No, not that. The conceptual drawings that follow. This is we'll get to this in a minute, but the original site plans that were filed as part of the application, on the second page, you'll see a conceptual drawing. So there's three things that mitigate in favor of approving a balcony. There is a substantial side yard setback rather than meeting the 1.2 minimum requirement. We're roughly 5 meters on the other side. There is a very mature strand of trees on both the north and the south end that offer a visual barrier to any overview. And once we get to that conceptual design, you'll see that the balconies are inset with wing walls on either side. So there's no opportunity for any visual impact. And in fact, this is a unique property. Geographically, it's got frontage on Lake Ontario and Lakeshore Boulevard, where a balcony is in fact part of the characteristics of the area. The whole area up and down Lakeshore. And if you go to page 12 of my covering letter, you'll see on their photo. There's balconies everywhere. There's balconies on our neighbor to the north. There's balconies on our neighbor 2 doors to the north. And as you've seen from one letter of support from another neighbor, they too have a balcony and they support balcony in this case. It's a very common occurrence. Like I said, the intent was not to prohibit it universally and never be able to get it, but the intent is to come before the committee and demonstrate that there's no impacts on the true intent about visual and loss of amenity areas for the neighbors. And in fact, everyone supports it in the neighborhood, everyone has it, and the geographic characteristics and character of the area all suggest that balconies are appropriate in this context. So finally, just to wrap things up, I just wanted to repeat that once you evaluate the application based on the official plan requirements of compatibility, I've come to the conclusion that this is minor nature in totality. It's in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and it's desirable for the appropriate development of land, and it protects the character of the existing neighborhood, doesn't create any new built form that is out of character, and there's no unacceptable adverse impacts. And on that basis, I hope the committee finds in favor of approving the application as submitted, including that for the balcony. Sorry, that's a lot of material to cover in a short period of time. I hope I've given you justice, and if you have any questions, I'd be pleased to answer them. Just before I wrap up, like I said, there was a letter of support that's been filed, an email. Also, the Conservation Halton in their comments indicated potential deferral, but a condition because they didn't have the right lines. And what I took the opportunity of communicating to Adam Heiser from the Conservation Halton, I submitted a site plan that clearly shows the lines that were on the original site plan. He's come back in this email, as you can see, and he says he's fine with it, but will require a permit, which of course we will, and anything that's outstanding will be resolved through that process. So I just wanted to bring the committee up to date on current information.
Thank you, Mr. Cronus. You can take a breath now. And I'll take the moment now to see if the committee members have any questions that they seek clarification on. Mr. Dickey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First thing I want to say to the agent, to thank you for explaining everything in a letter. I've had cases where we've had complex properties even on the lake, and I've been most annoyed when the agent hasn't provided a letter to the neighbors, 2 weeks ago, explaining what's going on, because you've got 9 variances here, and you've gone through and explained them in your letter, and of course you reiterated that just now. And normally when I look and see 9 variances, the flags go off in my head. So I like to look and see, okay, well, these variances, most of them are outside type things. I'm a big guy about setbacks. Only one of your variants deals with the front yard, deals with a setback, and that's the front yard. And when you look at it, you see that you have a diagonal, your front lot line relative to your front elevation of your house is diagonal. And to me, that helps explain why you need a variance in that particular matter. The balconies, I recognize what you're saying about the fact that you're on the lake, and I don't. I acknowledge that we go along the lake and we see lots of those balconies. One little thing came to light in your discussion there, which I hadn't caught on, and you could maybe explain it to me, just as an explanation. I'm not as a criticism here. So one of your variances to for a bigger garage, and I thought you said they're only looking at the garage on the ground floor in that calculation, not the garage or whatever you want to call it in the basement. Is that correct?
Correct, sir. Based on the definition of gross floor area, basement gross floor area attributed to that is excluded. So
even
yeah.
So because if one wants to call it a garage in the basement, which they would normally they want to call it, that doesn't come into play in the calculation of that. Okay.
No, just I mean, I can walk you through the bylaw, but
no, that's not necessary. No, I just
Okay.
Okay. I didn't realize that was the way it worked. Okay, that was my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any additional questions from Ms. Price?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cronus, I had a quick question with respect to the garage and the streetscape that you're creating. This is a little bit of an unusual situation where your main garage is centrally located within the mass of the building, and then there's a secondary garage, which, if I understand the drawings correctly in your presentation, that's the access to the basement garage. So you've got 2 functional spaces, or 2 spaces along the frontage of this building that are devoted towards a garage space. Do you know what percentage of to the front facade is devoted towards garage space, non-active living space? And maybe I'll carry on with my question while you can contemplate that a little bit. I'm wondering whether as a planner in evaluating the cumulative impacts of these variances, you've considered the way the building relates to the street and in terms of, obviously, in a lakefront home, the desire is to turn everything towards the lake and make that the visual presence of the building. But as planners, we often like to look at what the impacts are on of a development on the streetscape and what it's contributing to that street. I was wondering if you've considered that, and maybe you could walk me through your considerations a little bit.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Harcast, for that question. So we have the regulatory floodplain requirements of the Conservation Authority, and those are pretty well established. And as you can see, if we put up the site plan, they take up a huge portion of the lot from Lake Ontario back towards Lakeshore. So we have the only area that's available to present for a built form is effectively where we started it. We're sort of at the edge. The existing building, and I think I've included that in my presentation in the presentation in my cover letter. The existing building built form, the envelope more or less is in the same alignment as this. There's very little changes towards the north. Now, there is a significant setback from the street with mature lined street and mature landscaping. So other than the small pockets of the driveway where you can peek through as you're driving or as you're walking, there's very little visual views inside the lot, and it creates the privacy. And like I said, the massing has been designed so as to be compatible with the existing build forms. And if you go to page 12 of my cover letter, you'll see that that most of the lots are aligned in the same direction. Now, if you wanted to take a look at where the existing building is vis-a-vis the new building, it's on page 10 of my cover letter. I have the building envelope that overlaps the existing building. It's almost in the same alignment. So we tried to keep the streetscape in mind when we designed the building and having to address the setbacks from the Conservation Authority. Now, in terms of your question about the garage, I'm just trying quickly to we have a 23 meter we have a property frontage of about 100 meters because this is the 100-meter lots. We have 100-meter frontage, and we have the variances for the garages, which just trying to get the number and do a calculation quickly on the fly. Math is not my biggest forte, so we have a width of 9 and 11, so that's 20 meters. Of width, and then we have 5 meters on the north and 5 meters on the south, so that's 10 meters. So we have so the frontage is roughly 90 meters. Facade of the building is roughly 90 meters because we have 100-foot lot frontage, and we have 5-meter setback on either side, which brings the frontage roughly at about 90 meters. And then so the two garages, the driveways that lead to it, because that's how you measure it, is roughly 20 meters. So it's 20 meters out of the 90 meters. So that's whatever that percentage is. I'll do it quickly on my iPhone. But it's very, very small in the context of the facade. So it's 20 divided by 90. It's about 22%.
Thank you, Mr. Cronus. I think there's a lot of planners who can make the same statement as you about math. That's probably yeah. No, thank you. I appreciate your comments. With those questions, have we gone members of the public, Madam Secretary Treasurer, anybody present themselves for this matter?
No, Mr. Chair, no hands up and no one has called in.
Thank you. Okay. Any additional questions coming from anybody? With that, I will take this matter for consideration. Do I have a motion? Mr. Dickey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Based on my review of the owner's application, the site plans, the building elevations, my site visit, the presentation by the owner's consultant, and the planning staff's report, I am satisfied that the variances are minor in nature and conform to the 4 tests under the Planning Act. And I put forth a motion that the application as applied for be approved, subject to the conditions that that the dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plan dated July 21st, 2025, and the elevations to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning and Development. Just a second here. Okay, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction.
Thank you, Mr. Dickey. Do I have any discussion on this motion? I see none. All those in support? Your application has been approved.
Thank you, Mr. Hardcastle. Members of the committee, can you, Mr. Hardcastle, press on my regards to both Mr. Talowski and Ms. McHale. Thank you. Have a good evening.
You have a good night. The next item on the agenda is application A117 of 2025, a property located at 260 Robinson Street. Well, the applicant gets situated, I will just advise members of the public who may have joined at a later stage, applications A115 of 2025 at 347 Morden Road, and application A116 of 2025, a property at 398 Maple Grove Road, were both deferred at the request of the applicant and will come forward at a future meeting. I'm going to just continue my public service announcements with a repetition of the phone number. Those that are watching and wish to speak to this matter or a future matter can do so by calling in, and the phone number is 905-815-6095. And I see a familiar face here, Mr. Giordano. Could you please introduce yourself along with your address for the record, please?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Peter Giordano, David Small Designs, and we're at 1405 Cornwall Road in Oakville. We're the project designers and the authorized agents for this application.
Thank you, sir. Would you take us through a brief presentation on your application?
Absolutely. So I'm here today representing the Sharinga family, who are seeking approval for a minor variance to facilitate the construction of a thoughtfully designed 3-story home at 260 Robinson Street. This is not simply a new build. It's a home designed around the need of their daughter, Jen, who suffered a severe brain injury and requires accessible living arrangements and ongoing care. The Sharinga family had worked closely with our team to create a residence that prioritized accessibility, safety, and the support for Jen, while also respecting the neighborhood context. We're here requesting relief for 5 variance items. Madam Secretary, can I ask you to advance slide 4 of my presentation, please? And here I'm going to show you references to the 5 variance items. A window well encroachment that's in the rear yard. It's been designed slightly larger than what's permitted to provide natural light and safe egress from the basement, which will include essential support and living space for Jen's care. The encroachment is functionally minor in nature and has no impact on usable yard amenity space. Driveway width, a modest increase is required to accommodate the wheelchair accessible vehicle and to facilitate frequent arrivals and departure of caregivers and medical staff. The additional width provides functionality and access without creating visual or environmental impacts, and city staff supports that application or that variance as well. I think this one needs some explanation. It's pretty important. It's the side yard setbacks. The dwelling in an RL7 zone, when a dwelling has an attached garage, it will allow setbacks to be 1.2 meters on both sides. The variance items for this design include a far more accessible carport in lieu of the attached garage. So the proposed 1.2 setback effectively matches the left or east side wall of the existing house that's there today and improves on the right side. Also, of course, as you could see, the neighbor to the immediate west is a green P parking lot, meaning that the side yard condition does not negatively impact another private homeowner. If I could ask to advance to slide number 5, please. And here we'll talk about the variance for height. The requested height is 12.95, and it's less than a meter above the permitted maximum. This increase is driven by both the need to accommodate a rooftop mechanical equipment and elevator cab to service all levels of the home. Both are essential to accessibility and functionality. You'll notice in the 3D elevation that's specifically on slide number 5 that you're seeing on the screen that only the central section, the roof plan that I've got in the upper right corner, the little area that's highlighted in yellow, that's effectively the section that exceeds in building height. In context, the overall mass remains consistent with the surrounding multi-unit and townhouse developments along Robinson Street. Lot coverage at 33.99%. The lot coverage is modestly above 35% permitted. Even this increase, the lot coverage remains well below many existing buildings along Robinson Street. The design maintains generous setbacks and a balanced landscape. Importantly, the inclusion of a carport rather than a fully enclosed garage reduces the building's visual massing at the front and enhances accessibility for Jen's mobility needs. Sorry, I need you to advance to one more sheet, please. Yes, that one over there. That's the one that has the area highlighted in yellow for the roof. So we understand and accept the staff and department's recommendations for conditions of approval. In conclusion, this proposal represents more than just a house. It's a careful consideration, functional and compassionate design that balances accessibility, privacy, and the integration into the existing neighborhood. The variances, we believe, are minor and appropriate and in keeping with the intent of the bylaw. On behalf of the Sharinga family, I respectfully ask for your support in approving these variances so the home can be a safe, supportive, and permanent residence for Jen and her family. And we thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the representative? Mr. Dickey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just on the side yard setbacks, are you supposed to have a 1.8 meter setback on both sides of the property?
On the garage side, we're allowed to have, although I'll be clear that this is a carport, but if that were enclosed as a garage, it would allow us to have 1.2 on both sides under this zoning requirement.
So on the side that abuts the parking garage,
correct,
you're okay. I mean, you don't need a variance for the side yard setback at 1.2. It's only on the other side.
No, so I'll be clear through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, 1.8 is the requirement, but the zoning is written so that 1.8 is a requirement for a setback on an interior lot. But if you have an enclosed garage, so they assume that if you have a detached garage, you're going to have 1.8 on both sides. But if you have an attached garage, the side yard setbacks for an interior side yard setback becomes 1.2 for both. So technically, if you classify that carport as a parking area like a garage, we would then be compliant with the 1.2 meter setbacks on both sides. Now, of course, properly, zoning has classified the carport not as a garage, so I would maybe suggest that's a technical variance. And with that, we require the variance on both sides.
Okay, this is why I'm asking the question. The wording of the variance request is to reduce the minimum southwesterly interior side yard to 1.2. And I'm asking you, should it not read to reduce the minimum southwesterly and southeasterly interior side yard? Have I misunderstood what you're saying? It sounds like I have.
No, actually, through you, Mr. Chair, I believe, Mr. Dickey, that you're correct. It should be that
Both sides.
Both sides, correct.
Yeah. Maybe I should turn to the planning department and ask them, our town planner, to see if whatever we're interpreting is right or wrong. So that's Sarah again, or?
Yeah, sorry. Let me just tell you my headset is having issues. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm just gonna look into this quickly and I'll get an answer for you shortly. Sorry. So through you, Mr. Chair, I just want to also indicate that zoning didn't flag this as a missing variance, and the variance as presented is for only the one side. So as in terms of a missing variance, I'm so sorry, I'm still checking into it, but it wasn't flagged as a missing variance. So the setback is currently is for one side.
So I think maybe we could ask something of the Secretary Treasurer while the town planner is looking at this. If there was a requirement for an additional variance for the other side of the building, we would not be able to amend this on the floor. We would require further notification in order for that variance to be considered by the committee, would we not?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Yeah. So that would put our applicant in a position of a decision to advance the application or seek to defer the matter until it's clarified in dealing with it all together.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we had a pre-consult on this, so we've had a lot of discussion with zoning, and we've had a lot of back and forth with city staff on this. I'm pretty comfortable that if I may have explained that incorrectly, that if you know, the interpretation might be that on the garage side where you would be parking a vehicle, that you're allowed 1.2, but 1.8 would be on the opposite side. Therefore, this requires a variance only on the opposing side. I would prefer to move forward with this. I don't believe this is an issue, since we've gone through substantial discussion with planning, zoning, and pre-consult. We've been through the whole process. I would prefer to move forward with that.
Okay, so on the understanding that if a variance were identified through further review of your building permit, you'd be back before us at your need and expense.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so that may alleviate our need for further research on the spot from our town planner. Unless sorry.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, just to confirm that the required zoning is 1.8 and 1.2. So the variance is correct.
Okay, excellent. Excellent.
Okay, all right, good.
Mr. Dickey.
Yeah, no, I know in some of the other zonings, it has to be, you know, relative to a garage on one side and something on the other side. That's why I was wondering about that. I'm sorry I didn't look that up. I was hoping. But anyways, we got a result. That's all that matters. Okay. Sorry to cause a panic there.
Excellent. Do we have additional questions from the committee members? we'll seek to see if there's anybody in the audience, so to speak, who wishes to speak to this matter.
No, Mr. Chair, no calls, and no one has their hand up.
Okay, and I would note that there were no written submission received to date on this. With there being no members of the public raising their hands, I would take this into committee if there are no additional questions from the committee members. Okay, I'm looking for a motion then. Mr. Dickey.
I've done all the talking on this issue anyhow. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Based upon my review of the owner's applications, the site plans, the building elevations, my site visit, the presentation by the owner's consultant, and the planning staff's report, I'm satisfied that the variances are minor in nature and conform to the four tests under the Planning Act. And I put forth a motion that the application as applied for be approved subject to the conditions that, oops, sorry, I have a problem. Whoops. Sorry, something's happened to my computer. Somebody could read out the conditions. So I have something's wrong. I can't.
Mr. Dickey, are you putting forward a motion subject to the conditions that are contained within the staff report?
Yes, yes.
Would you object to me reading them out on your behalf?
I would, thank you. Yes,
okay.
Go ahead, please.
Subject to the conditions that the dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plan and elevation drawings dated July 16th, 2025, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction. Okay. Any discussion on that, I guess, joint motion? No discussion. All those in support? Your application has been approved. You have a good night, sir.
Wonderful. You too. Thank you.
We are moving on to our last application. Before I call it, I will advise the members of the public, people who may have tuned in late, that application A118 of 2025, property located at 1337 Shedden Avenue, has been deferred by the applicant. And we'll come back before the committee at a future date upon addressing some of the staff concerns that were identified in the staff report. So we are now calling item A040 of 2025. This application was deferred from March 19th of 2025 and is pertaining to a property located at 2058 Glen Forest Crescent. I see Mr. Dome here as the identified agent. Could you please introduce yourself and provide us with your address for the record, please?
Yes, Joe Dome, 133 Torresdale Avenue, agent for the owner.
Thank you, Mr. Dome. Would you be kind enough to take the committee through a brief presentation and take us through the take us through the variances that you're seeking?
Yes, we had previously deferred the application to make some improvements and reduce and eliminate variances as per planning staff comments. The revised application has eliminated both the lot coverage and dwelling depth variances. There are 3 variances remaining. The proposed RFA has been reduced from 35.3% to 33.65%. And the proposed easterly interior side yard has been increased to 2.9 meters, previously 1.04, and the proposed westerly interior side yard has been increased to 3.44 meters and was previously 0.85 meters. So the architectural features at the front have been reduced by a total of 4.45 meters, and the forward portion of the west side wall has been pushed back to meet the 4.2 meter side yard setback. As noted in the staff report, the remaining side yard variances only pertain to the now smaller one-story architectural features at the front, whereas the dwelling itself meets the 4.2 meter side yard bylaw on both sides. Including the architectural features assists in splitting up the massing of the front facade and the transition from the first to the second floor while complying with lot coverage. Impact is also mitigated by the fact that The design of the dwelling incorporates breakup of massing in the footprint, multiple second-story setbacks, along with the use of different materials on the facade. The proposed dwelling also complies with bylaw for height and for required front yard. And the front of the dwelling includes indents ranging from 0.75 meters to a 4.13 meter deep indent for both floors at the covered front porch. The depth of the dwelling itself is 15.73 meters, and the depth varies from first to second floor on the east and the west side. On the east side of the dwelling, the side main wall of the garage is set back 4.2 meters from the side lot line for approximately 9 meters in depth. Above the garage, the portion of the second floor only occupies a 4.27 meters in depth and is stepped back from the main floor sidewall. Beyond those, both floors widen further to 8.12 meters side yard setback for the main floor and slightly further on the second floor. On the west side of the dwelling, the required side yard also complies. And the second floor incorporates a significant step back that further increases the side yard setback to 6.6 meters to the second story. And as noted by staff, the grading of the property and the height of the dwelling measured to the finished floor, basically it has a lower visual impact at the front of the dwelling compared to the height requested, but the height does meet the bylaw. And with the revisions, planning staff have now have no concerns with the application. We have also read and appreciate the neighbor comments. We do feel that the inclusion of the architectural features is further balanced by the aforementioned mitigation features in the design. And regarding RFA, even without the architectural features, the portion of the RFA requested wouldn't be visible from the streetscape. And the application would also need to satisfy the city in regards to drainage during the scope site plan process. And overall, we feel the application is reasonable and minor in nature, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Dome. Members, do I have any questions on this? No questions? I will go as sorry, am I reading facial expression? Sorry.
Oh, no.
Okay.
You did so much talking.
I will ask the Secretary Treasurer then if there are any members of the public present with respect to this matter who have raised their hands.
We've had nobody call in, Mr. Chair. We do have Eva Taylor, someone who had emailed in opposition online, but I do not see a hand raised.
If Ms. Taylor would like to speak to the matter, you please raise your hand. We'll give it a minute.
She does have her hand raised, so I can move her in now. One moment.
Okay. I see Ms. Taylor has been introduced.
I unmuted. Can you hear me?
I can, Ms. Taylor. Could you please introduce yourself for us tonight? Well,
okay. I'm Eva Taylor. I'm at 315 Pinehurst Drive in Oakville.
Thank you for joining us this evening. I understand that you have some comments with respect to this application.
Yes. Well, I have a question. So the plans show a covered patio at the rear of the house, and is this part of the maximum residential floor area?
The covered porch is not included within the residential floor area, but the coverage, which is not something that there's a variance for here tonight.
Oh, but sorry, then it's the ratio. Is that the one that is there? There were 3 variances requested. The maximum residential floor area ratio for a detached dwelling, that one?
Yeah, so the covered porch would not be included within the residential floor area ratio. That would include the interior spaces of the building, roughly speaking. I can certainly let staff address that in more detail.
Right.
But generally speaking, those spaces are included in lot coverage, but not in the residential floor area ratio, which is a ratio of the building area relative to lot area.
Okay. All right, that was my question.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't have any more concerns other than it's very large.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor.
Thank you.
Do the committee members have any questions of Ms. Taylor? Okay. Thank you for your comments this evening, Ms. Taylor.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Dome, do you have any comments or response to anything that's been raised by Ms. Taylor?
Just to speak to some of those comments, just to the comment that it was very large. So we do understand that committee evaluates each application on its own merits, and so we do believe that the aforementioned design mitigation features do help to reduce impact here.
Thank you. Committee members, anything further before we go into, before I do that, I should check to see if there's anybody else, because I think we did have 2 letters of objection on this. Anybody else who's raised their hand in the interim, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
No, Mr. Chair, there are no more interest in this.
Okay, thank you so much. Committee members, we'll go into committee. Any motions or discussion? Ms. Price?
Okay, so taking into consideration the observations from my site visit, the submissions from the owner, the agent, and staff, as well as letters of opposition, I am of the opinion that the requested variances are minor in nature and are in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and are desirable for the appropriate development of the land. As the built form of the development, including scale, height, massing, architectural character, and materials, help to protect the character of the existing neighborhood and do not present unacceptable adverse impacts, I believe that the 4 tests of the Planning Act have been met. In conclusion, I recommend that the application be approved subject to the following conditions. The dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plan and elevation drawings dated May 29th, 2025, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Any discussion on this, Mr. Dickey? Okay. Thank you. So I'll put the motion out for a vote. Those in support of the motion to approve. Okay, Mr. Dome, your application has been approved. You have a good evening.
Thank you very much. You too. Thank you.
So that is our last item on the agenda this evening. Can I have a motion for confirmation of minutes for the August 6th, 2025 meeting? Mr. Dickey, and a motion to adjourn. Ms. Price. Please let us know when we're offline.